So in the last lecture we discussed the notion of local maximum minima, and to find local maximum minima, first we find the critical points by solving two equations, which are fx is equals to 0 and fy equals to 0, and all the solution of these two equations are known as critical points. And after finding critical points, there is a notion of saddle point. So saddle point x0 y0 is a saddle point for the function f if we have two another points x1 y1 and x2 y2 which are close enough to x0 y0 such that their value is one of the value when we apply out f on x1 y1, it is greater than or equal to f of x0 y0, and on the other point the value of the function is smaller than or equal to the value of the function at x0 y0. So after that we discuss the second derivative test. So in second derivative test we have mentioned that f has all the first and second order partial derivatives. So I forgot to write here fxx and fxy, fyy. Right. So basically we have four second order partial derivatives, which are fxx, fyy, fxy and fyx. Right. So all four partial derivatives of second order and these first two partial derivative of first order all exist and they are continuous in the domain. So that means we can find all the partial derivatives at every point and we can discuss this discriminant. So for this particular condition we need the continuity of all partial derivatives, and that will give us the second derivative test. So this is a second derivative test which says that whenever discriminant is greater than 0 and fxx is greater than 0, we have a local minima at that point. Similarly, discriminant greater than 0 and fxx is less than 0, we have local maxima. And when discriminant is less than 0, we have a saddle point. For d is 0, the test fails. We cannot apply the second derivative test. And after that, we discuss one example of local maximum minima for this particular function, 4xy minus x power 4 minus y power 4. And so first we found the critical points. Critical points turns out to be these 3 points. And at these 3 points, we want to find the discriminant and fxx. Right. So this both will gives us information that whether the given point is local maxima, local minima, or it is a saddle point or test field. So let us first find out all these values at these points. So we did not complete the example. Yes.
सर इसमें क्रिटिकल पॉइंट में -1 होना चाहिए ना?
Let me see. Right. So right.
Yes, sir.
You're right. So here I have done mistake. So yeah, our point must be -1 because the sign of x and y is same because x is equals to y cube. Yeah. So thanks for the correction. So now we have these 3 critical points, and we want to find these quantities fxx, which is -12x square, and the discriminant at these 3 points. So since fxx is -12x square and 0 has value of x is 0, so that means -12 0 square is 0. Similarly, the value of fxx at 1 1 is minus 12. This is also minus 12. And when we substitute 0 comma 0 in the discriminant, that is 144 x square y square minus 16, then we get minus 16 here. And at 1 1 we have 144 minus 16, so that is 128, and that value is same for the minus 1 1 also. So we found the value of the discriminant and the second order partial derivative fxx at these 3 points, and now we will use the second derivative test. So for this particular point 0 comma 0, the discriminant is negative. That means we have a saddle point here. Right, because d is negative. For these 2 points, d is positive. So depending on value of the fxx, we decide whether it is local maxima or not. So here in both the cases, we have value of fxx is negative. That means at these both points, we have local maximum value. Right. So let us write down these. So at the points 1 comma 1 and minus 1 comma minus 1, the function has local maxima. Right. And what else we get the information is that 0 comma 0, that is the origin, is the saddle point. So also at 0 comma 0, the given function has saddle point. So using the discriminant was negative at 0 comma 0, we have noted that 0 comma 0 is a saddle point. But if you recall the definition of saddle point, then let us go to that, because it was in the second PDF. So saddle point means whatever small neighborhood we take of the point x0, y0, there always exists a point where the value of the function is greater than equal to f of x0, y0, and there is another point where the value of the function is less than or equal to f of x0, y0. So let us see this. Let us observe this. So what is our function? Our given function is f of xy equals to 4xy minus x power 4 minus y power 4. So to check 0 comma 0 is a saddle point, by definition we need to find what we need to show. We need to show that whatever neighborhood we take of 0 0. So neighborhood means we have origin and whatever neighborhood we take of origin. delta neighborhood. So that means whatever disk of radius delta centered at origin we take, for any delta, we can always find a point x1, y1 in this disk and another point x2, y2 in this disk, such that the value of x1, y1 is greater than or equal to f of 0, 0 and value of x2, y2 is less than or equal to f of 0, 0. If we can show this condition for some delta greater than 0, for any delta greater than 0, then that means 0, 0 is a saddle point. So to observe that, what we will do is we will see by substituting particular values. So when our function becomes, so we need to find x1, y1 and x2, y2 physically near to the origin, such that f of x1, y1 is greater than or equal to f0, 0. So what is the function at origin? The function evaluated at origin, value of the function is 0. So that is f of 0, 0 is 0. And on the other hand, we want other value to be less than or equal to f0, 0, that is 0. So question is how to find. So what we need is, we need points such that at one point the value of the function is greater than or equal to 0. At the other point x2, y2, the value of the function is less than or equal to 0. And such a point we should be able to find as close as we like from the origin. Right? So then only this condition will be satisfied, the condition of the saddle point. So to find that, what we will do is, we will substitute a particular value of x and y, and then we'll see whether we can find a non-negative value of the function or not. So in this function, if we substitute y is 0, so if y is 0, what we get is f of x comma 0 is equals to, this term is 0 because y is 0, this is also 0. So that means what we get is f of x comma 0 is minus x power 4. Right? So this is the value of the function when y becomes 0. Now if I take x to be 0, then I will get minus y power 4, that is a negative value. But the other value I need is non-negative. Right? So what shall we do in that case? So is there any way we can find the positive value of this function? Is it possible? So let us see what happens if we take, suppose we take x equals to 1. So if we take x equals to 1, then what will be the value of the function if x equals to 1? That will be 4x squared minus x power 4 minus x power 4. So what will be this value? This will be 4x squared times 1 minus x squared. 4x squared minus 2 times x power 4. If we take 2x square common, it will be 2 minus x power 2. So now if we take the value of the x which is small enough, so that means if x square is less than 2, then what happens? Then 2 minus x square is greater than 0, right? So therefore what we get, fx we get is 2x square times 2 minus x square, which is greater than 0. So whatever this we take, whatever delta greater than 0 is given, we take the points x comma x with such that 2x square is greater than 0. That means x square is less than 2. So inside the x less than root 2, or x less than root 2. So then the value of the function is positive for such point. In particular, let us say f of 1 comma 1 we can say, which is greater than 0, right? Yeah, even we can take f of half, this is also greater than 0, and so on. So whatever small value we take, we always get a point inside this circle whose value is bigger than or equal to 0, 0, and whose value is less than or equal to 0, 0. So therefore, for every neighborhood of origin, we always get points x1, y1 and x2, y2 in that neighborhood, such that value of at one point is greater than or equal to f0, 0, and value at the other point is less than or equal to f0, 0. So this will give us that therefore 0, 0 is a saddle point for f for the given f. So this is just remark. So earlier some of the students asked this question to me, that what is the meaning of the definition of the saddle point. So here not only we verified that 0, 0 is a saddle point using the discriminant, we also verified that the origin is the saddle point by finding 2 points close enough to the origin such that the value at those points are less than equals to, one of the point is less than equal to f of 0, 0, and other point is value is the greater than equal to 1 f of 0, 0. So basically saddle point, at saddle point the point doesn't have local maxima, it also doesn't have local minima. So this is regarding this particular example. Now today lecture we want to discuss Lagrange multiplier method. So that is useful for the finding absolute maximum minima of a function. So let us start with that. So any doubt in this previous method of local maximum minima or saddle point? Okay.
एक्सक्यूज मी सर
Yes.
सर जो हम वो 3 कंडीशन बनाते हैं इन सेकंड डेरिवेटिव टेस्ट तो सर उसमें हम एफ एक्स एक्स ही क्यों लेते हैं मतलब एक तो हम डी लेते हैं और एक हम एफ एक्स एक्स लेते हैं
Yeah. So there is some relation with linear algebra. So that you will study in the next semester. So that is related to positive definite matrix. So whenever you have a matrix whose minors, so minors means 1 minor and 2 minor. So whenever this minors has positive sign. So here our matrix is essentially fxx. This is our matrix that is discriminant. So its principal minors, if you consider, then the value of its determinant is first is fxx and second is the determinant of this matrix, that is 2 cross 2 minor. So that essentially so actually this is discriminant. This one is discriminant. This matrix is known as Hessian matrix. So this says that fxx fyy minus fxy fyx. But now since we are assuming the first and second order partial derivatives are continuous, these two become same. Fxy equals to fyx. So that means our discriminant will become fxy square. Right. So whenever both of these minors are positive or they have alternate sign, depending on that we say this matrix is positive semi-definite or negative semi-definite. So anyway, these things we will study in the next semester and upcoming courses of mathematics. So today we want to discuss this Lagrange multiplier method. So Lagrange multiplier method essentially we use for finding absolute maxima minima. So to find absolute maximum minima of the function, if you recall that if we have a function from which is a one variable function, then f is a function from closed interval ab to r has and if this function is continuous, then it always assumes has it always attains its absolute maximum value and not only it assumes its maximum minima, it assumes maximum minima at the point. So what are the possibilities of maximum minima for a continuous function on closed interval?
सर या तो एक्सट्रीम पॉइंट्स हो सकते हैं या फिर बीच में ही
Yeah. Yeah, so if there will be extreme means basically endpoints, right? So either at x equals to a or x equals to b, that is the endpoints, or if it is in between, then it must be the critical point, right? So, or at the critical point of the function. So this is a result from one variable calculus. So that we already know. So what is the speciality between A and B? So A and B are basically the endpoints of the interval. Right. So whenever we want to find absolute maximum minimum, we don't apply the second derivative test. We only find the critical points and we find the value of the function at the end point. And all these critical points and endpoints A and B, we find the value of the function and then we check whether what is the maximum value, what is the minimum value. By evaluating the function at those points, right? So these points A and B are known as the boundary points or the endpoints of the interval. Right. So, so this is regarding one variable case. So same is true for the two variable case. So in two variables also, if we have a function which is given, then what we do is we'll find all the critical points. So we already know the method to find the critical points. So for critical points, we solve the equation fx is 0 and fy is 0. And then we find the value of the function at the boundary of the domain of the function, which and domain is two variable function. So this is one variable case. Now, what is the Lagrange multiplier method? So why we need Lagrange multiplier method? Because here the end points of the interval are only 2 points, but whenever we consider some domain in R2, so domain in R2 is of this form, right? So all the points inside some set. So what we'll do is we'll essentially check the value of the function we need to evaluate at the end points. So this is boundary. Of the domain. So for example, if we have a closed unit disk, then its boundary will be the unit circle, right? So if we are given a function, how to find the value of the maximum or minimum value of the function at the boundary, that is useful here. For that we need we have certain equations. So let us first see what is the method and then we'll see the example. So if we are given a function which is a two variable function whose extreme values we want to find subject to some boundary condition. So boundary condition is equation, like if we have a boundary is unit circle, we have the equation x square plus y square equal to 1. So such a equation we can convert as a constraint in the form g of xy equals to constant or g of xy equals to 0. Right. So we'll see some example in a minute. We'll see what is the exact equation. So the condition to apply the Lagrange multiplier method. So this type of problem we have, fxy, we want to find the maximum value subject to some condition g of xy equals to 0. So when we can apply the Lagrange multiplier method on this type of question, for that we need the gradient to be 0. So if the gradient of the function g is 0 for each point x0 y0 in which satisfies this equation. So if this condition is satisfied, then we can apply Lagrange multiplier method to solve this question. And how do we solve? So this is just first 2 pages of work. So let us write down here once again Lagrange multiplier method. So what we do in this method, first we check the gradient is non-zero at g of xy is equals to 0, all the points satisfying that equation. And the method is, in this method, we find all points. So basically these are the critical points xy, such that they satisfies the following equations. So first equation is gradient of f is 0, lambda times gradient of g. So this is first equation, and second equation is g of xy equals to 0. So this is already given. We are finding the maximum value of f subject to this equation. So that is already given. So that we'll use here. And another equation we'll use is gradient f is lambda times gradient g. So this lambda is unknown, so that we need to find. Sometimes it is helpful to find the value of xy. So what are these equations? So basically these equations are fx is equals to lambda gx, right? That is the first coordinate of the gradient, and second coordinate of the gradient is fy on the left side, right side it is lambda times gy, right? So we have these two equations along with the third equation is g of xy equals to 0. So we solve all this equation and find the value of x and y, and finally to find maximum or minimum value of f on the curve g of xy equals to 0 on the boundary curve. What we do is we evaluate value of f at all the points xy satisfying this equation, these three equations. So whatever function, whatever problem is given fxy, we have to find extreme value subject to gxy equals to 0. We first solve this equation, find the points, and then we evaluate the value of the function f at those points. So let us see one example here. So find the extreme values of the function fxy equals to x square minus y square, where xy is any point on the circle centered at origin with radius 1. In this example, we are not asked to find absolute maximum minimum. We need to find only maximum minimum value of the function on this curve. So let us write down what is the mathematical question. So what we want to do, we want to find maximum or minimum value of the function fxy equals to x square minus y square, such that our point xy is on the circle centered at origin and radius 1. That means it is on the unit circle. So that is the equation of the circle. Unit circle, that is x square plus y square is equals to 1. So now let us compare with the question. So what was the question? Question is to find maximum minimum value of the function subject to equation. So what equation we got? We got this equation basically. X square plus y square is equals to 1. So we are not finding value of the function on the entire xy plane. We are not finding the maximum minima of the function on the all points on the xy plane. We are only finding maximum minimum value of the function on the unit circle. Whenever I choose a point xy which is on the unit circle, for all these points I evaluate f. Then for those points, what is the maximum minima value of the function? So that is the question. So that means this is our condition, g of xy equals to 0. So therefore, let us write down what is the gxy. Gxy is basically x square plus y square minus 1 is equal to 0. Right, because we have converted this equation of unit circle as some function of xy equals to 0. So we have taken 1 on the other side. So now we got what is our f and g. So now let us apply the method. So to apply the method, what we need to do? We need to solve these three equations. Right. So the first equation is fx equals to lambda gx. Second equation fy equal to lambda gy. Third equation is the given equation, that is the unit circle. So the corresponding equations of the Lagrange multiplier method are, so first equation is fx equals to lambda gx, second is fy equal to lambda gy, and third equation is g of xy equals to 0, that is x square plus y square minus 1 is 0. So now let us substitute the value of partial derivative of f and g. So function is x square minus y square. So that means fx is 2x and fy is minus 2y. Right. Similarly, gx is 2x, gy is 2y. Yeah, so first thing we did not check, that is the gradient condition, right? So that let us go to that condition. So to apply Lagrange multiplier method, first we need to check if the gradient must be non-zero for all the points e of x naught y naught equals to 0. So what is the gradient? Therefore, so let us write down in this here in between. What is the gradient? The gradient of g is gx comma gy, that is 2x comma 2y, and 2x comma 2y is non-zero vector. So here non-zero means other than origin, right? Because gradient is two variable quantity. So gradient is non-zero if for all points xy such that g of xy is equals to 0. So that means whenever we take x square plus y square is equals to 1, on the points on the unit circle, gradient is always non-zero. Right? Because if gradient is 0, our point xy will become 0 comma 0, and origin is not on the unit circle. Right? If this is 0, that means x is 0 and y is 0, but xy equals to origin is not on the unit circle. So therefore, the condition for finding Lagrange multiplier method, applying Lagrange multiplier method, is satisfied. So now we can apply the method. So therefore we get all the equation. First equation is fx equals to lambda gx. So that will give us 2x equals to lambda 2x. Second equation is minus 2y, because f is x square minus y square. So fy is minus 2y times lambda times 2y. The second equation. Third equation is unit circle. So we need to solve basically these three equations and find all the possible values of x and y which satisfies these three equations. So sometimes we need to work a little bit to solve such equations, but for this particular example it is very easy. So from first equation, what we get is, we get 1 minus lambda times 2x equals to 0, and that will give us either 1 minus lambda is 0 or 2x is 0. So what we get is, we get lambda is equal to 1 or we get x equals to 0. So we get two cases from the first equation, and when lambda is 1, if you substitute in the third equation, lambda is 1. If you substitute here in the second equation, what we get, so let us write down step by step. So case 1, that is lambda is equals to 1. So substituting equation 2, what we get if lambda is 1, then equation 2 gives minus 2y is equals to 2y, because lambda is 1, and that gives us 4y equal to 0. 4y equals to 0, that will gives us y equals to 0. So now substitute y equals to 0 in equation 3. So equation 3 is x square plus y square is 1. So if y is 0, then what we get is we get x square is 1. So x square is 1, that means x is plus or minus 1. Right. So what points we got is therefore we get point. So value of x is plus or minus 1, value of y is 0, and in case 2 we have, what is case 2? Case 2 is x is 0. So that is x equals to 0. So here now we don't need to find the value of lambda, because we want the points x and y. So directly we substitute in equation 3, that is unit circle. So what we get is y square equal to 1, that means y is plus or minus 1. So therefore we get x comma y equals to x is 0, y is plus or minus 1. So all the points x comma y satisfying the equations of Lagrange multiplier method. They are nothing but 0 comma 1, 0 comma minus 1, minus 1 comma 0, and 1 comma 0. So we got 4 points. And what is the final step? Final step is we evaluate the function at these points. So finally note that value of the function at 0 plus or minus 1 is minus 1, and value of the function. So what is the function? Function is x square minus y square. So at plus or minus 1 comma 0, the value of the function is 1. So therefore maximum value of the function is 1 at points 0 comma plus or minus 1, and minimum value of f is minus 1 attained at points any question? Yeah, so I think this is what